What is up, Honey Badger Nation? Thank you guys for tuning in and trying to figure out some of the new changes here. Facebook made yesterday, actually, to where StreamYard will not stream directly into groups. However, there are some workarounds, obviously, in what we're trying to accomplish here and get done. So I am just checking out here and seeing where we're at, how it's showing up. You guys tuning in, let us know where are you seeing us. I know looks like on the page, yet how do I get into the group here? How is that happening? My man. Mr. Stasek, what's happening?
Hey, dude, what's going on?
What's a crack-a-lackin'? So I was just messing around here a little bit since Facebook changed their streaming guidelines yesterday, and so StreamYard cannot directly go into Facebook groups anymore. So there are workarounds, and we can go to a page and then a page into a group. We are obviously going to YouTube as well, so still trying to work out the kinks here for what that looks like. And I'm going to mess with this for 2 seconds here, see if I can't push it into the group as we try to work through this and figure it out. So it is.
Well, there's an example of basing your business model on someone else's tech that can change at any moment.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we are, let's see.
Clint Walker's on the YouTube. What's up, Clint?
So we are, you can see us if you go to events and you click on events, and that's where it's showing up at. But as in the actual feed, I don't think that's happening. So we'll see exactly how this kind of plays out in the adjustments as we continue to navigate forward, man.
Maybe there's the option to part of the beauty in it was the ability for people to interact and ask questions. And this is a Q&A, and you can't have a Q&A unless you're actually live in the group. So that's really odd that they would do that. I wonder what the whole purpose.
I don't know around the whole thing. So what it'll let you do though is you can go to pages, you can go to Twitter, you can go to Instagram, you can go to YouTube, you can go to a lot of different places. But just being able to go into the groups, they changed. I don't know the reasoning. I don't know why they did it. But you're no longer able to do that, which is kind of wild. But I know if you go into Honey Badger Nation and you click on events, you can find us there. But
so could we post the event in the group?
It's posted in there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a workaround thing. I think there's a couple other options. We're going to have to figure out how we can get it into the feed. Live into the feed instead of clicking on the event. It's a couple extra clicks, and when you got a couple extra clicks, that just don't work. So being able to have that, but no, what's good?
Well, what's good? Lots of good. Man, I'm leaving for Key West in 8 days. We're going to the singer-songwriter festival. it's one of my favorite events in Key West, and so I'm pumped about that. I'm pumped about the build events that are coming. We had an awesome. Well, we already talked about the last week. We talked about the
rallies,
regional rally. I keep hearing great feedback on all that. It feels like all this energy is starting to come together, and it's great. There's a great buzz. There's tons of new talent coming aboard, from brokerages to teams to big agents. We got a lot of great stuff happening. So
what are you seeing as you're talking to team leaders, talking to agents, kind of their biggest hang up, their biggest challenge, what they're evaluating, amongst these other organizations, these other companies. I think a move back away from one of the platforms to me is somebody's getting a paycheck. I think is kind of what I'm seeing, which makes sense. For some people, it's short-term money. Maybe that's kind of the move they need to make for the short term. But thinking long-term, I don't know. I don't know the value proposition. I don't know, kind of the brand promise, the promise that they can keep. So obviously I think one thing is really paramount. And I think this is really important for everybody listening in, and around community organization and culture and morale. And, for everybody listening in, if you're thinking of building, continuing to expand your organization and your team, you don't hit morale and culture at the end. It has to start in the beginning. And you look at kind of, look at Honey Badger Nation, for example, right? You look at everything that we were intentional from day one. When we came over, we got really strategic. We got in a room, we had a strategic plan. We were really intentional with what we were doing and what we were building. And it was really around, adding massive value, which really ties back to who we are at our core values, our purpose. And, obviously the BHAG, and then, really which encompasses and becomes the vision. So I know culture and culture alignment, but if you try to come lasso it in at the end, it's too late. You got to do it from the beginning. So what are you seeing, feeling, why some people are making moves, either aligning or moving away? Like what problems do you see that people are trying to solve?
Are you saying moving toward or away from EXP, or are you,
Yeah.
What do you?
Yep.
Where you were going with this, with the chat about community, the first group that comes to mind, I just feel like that has been nailing it from day one, is the Global Alliance group. And so I'll use them as an example. Now, having said that, nobody is immune to the musical chairs of real estate agents that they play and hopping from broker to broker, even at EXP,
Yeah.
even from Global Alliance, who,
Right.
when you look at, like, in just pure transparency, I know for a fact we could have, look, people at Honey Badger Nation, they love being part of the group, but we also know that we could do a better job. We're always trying to improve. We know that we could have done things differently and better, but that's just because we're honest enough with ourselves to say that we're perfectly imperfect, and we're going to continue to be that way. And when I compare what we do, they say never compare, right? But you can't help but look at, like, someone like what Carlos, Veronica, and Gil and all those leaders down there, of what they've built, a culture. It's nothing short of amazing. And a lot of that had to do with getting together physically, physical interactions, elbow to elbow, actually being in a, whether it be an event where there's teaching and learning going on, or just a straight social event. And they nailed it. And there's just a magical thing about being together with people versus this screen time. And if you can't do physical, this is the best next thing. No, I mean, there's no doubt. And it's since COVID, it's really become the new norm. But I think that even when you're nailing it from the cultural standpoint and you just see this, it's like being around them, it's just different. Okay. It's this different feeling. And I'll say this too. Curtis Shewell up north of Michigan does a great job too. We have a lot of really Tina Call, Chuck Fazio, Kyle and Dan. There's leaders that are part of our organization, Curtis Johnson, that do a really great job of building community. Yet we're still not immune to the grass is greener syndrome of this industry that we're a part of. So I know I'm not answering your question directly. I'm just kind of spitballing and kind of saying that, like, I think we get frustrated. I get frustrated. We do a live call every day of the week on, in our platform. We're pouring in. We're doing whatever we possibly can to not charge for things, right? And lowering the barrier of entry to get the value. And yet people still jump. So that's frustrating. And I believe it was Sheplack that said this to me a long time ago. It was 2016. Was that, dude, get used to it. This is the way it is. This is the game we're playing. If you don't like that part of the game, or you can't tolerate it or learn to play in that game, then you're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
And he's right. But it still sucks when you're losing, especially when you lose someone that you really don't want to lose.
Yeah.
If you lose some people that you could really like, there was really no connection there. They were takers. They weren't givers. They weren't giving into our community anyway. Like,
they didn't plug in.
What's that?
They didn't plug in, no matter how much you reached out, tried to, meet them halfway. You can't drag them.
Right. Can't drag them. So, and I mean, it's the biggest, hardest lesson I ever had to learn. And it's just because of who we are at our core. We're very passionate. We love what we do. And because we put so much time, energy, and resources into it, we think to ourselves, well, why would you ever want to leave?
Yeah.
But it isn't you. Well, sometimes it is you. Sometimes it is the leader, right? Like if you need to step up in your leadership game, then step up in your leadership game. If you feel like you're knocking the cover off the ball, like, and people are still leaving, maybe you need to do a bigger, a deeper dive. But at the end of the day, you can't sulk your head and think, oh, it's all me. Sometimes it's just them. Yeah. Sometimes it's just them, and you're not gonna be everything to everyone. And I think that we sometimes catch ourselves trying to be everything to everyone, and then you're not winning with anybody.
Right.
And it's one of those things, whether you're talking about real estate, politics, whatever it is, So that was the longest non-answer to a question ever.
No, I mean, it's spot on. I mean, no matter what, I think that's the realization that for us as leaders that we need to really understand is that sometimes there's just a slight core value misalignment. There's nothing else other than, the values there. It's we're solving their problems, but they might resonate just a little bit differently with somebody else, that they have a deeper connection. Maybe spiritually they connect at a different level. Maybe it's the way it's framed to where it clicks and makes a little more sense for them. And, it does really come down to leadership. And there's different leadership styles. And there's, like I said, there's things where people connect and they disconnect. But I love your answer. And I'm so glad that you articulated the way you did, is that, sometimes it's, they're just not in a state of their life, in a season of their life, that they're willing to ride with you anymore. Right. And that doesn't mean that they don't love you any less, and vice versa. It's just like they're at a different season. They're going down a different part of the river on their own. And sometimes that's for them to explore and figure it out. But I think, it's just like, you just keep looking for the people that are looking for you, people that are swimming in the boat. That's the biggest thing.
Yep. So we have to keep searching for those people who are searching for us and just make those connections. And it's a contact game.
Yeah, it is. And, no matter what, right? The agents exiting and leaving the business, there's still agents coming into the business, and there's still agents that are trying to grow. There's still agents that are hungry, that are looking for solutions, looking for somebody that they can trust. And I think that's just the biggest thing is staying consistent, man, right? You're going to lose people on the way. You're going to pick people up on the way, but just stay consistent. It's the biggest thing, man. If you can just stay consistent with everything, you'll be years and years ahead. So obviously, shake up, kind of with Leo coming in, Glenn, moving into his new role. Any updates and conversations? I know you're a lot more connected into leadership. I know there's some announcements coming, but anything that you can kind of share from a leadership perspective and kind of the direction where things are starting to head?
Well, I think what I can, we have an NDA on a lot of the stuff, so I don't want to share, too many details, but I will share this. Everyone's going to like the changes that are going to be coming forward. It's interesting. It's kind of like, I don't know how the insides of Congress work when you have the Democrats and the Republicans trying to get a bill passed and they're arguing over, they were like, yeah, let's take this out and I want this in, and they're negotiating and doing this to try to get something passed. I can't imagine what it's like, but I'm sure it's just got to be it's like being inside like an insane asylum. I don't know how these guys do it, but that's what they're doing. They're in there battling for what they believe in each side, right? So I'm not saying it's that intense, but it's kind of funny. Like there's a lot that we believe could be improved, not necessarily because it's broken, just because it can be improved. And those improvements are being heard and acted upon. Now, going back to the analogy of like Senate trying to pass a bill or whatever, we do have we have this balance of opinions, right? We got this camp and we got this camp, and then we got Glenn and Leo and Michael Valdez in the middle. And what's really cool is they're listening to all sides respectfully, carefully. They're giving very careful consideration to all points. And that's such a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't feel like in the last 6.5 years, there's been a better time where we have all really come together, even though a lot of us don't agree on everything. Like, there's pushback on this. Like I'm passionate about co-sponsorship. I do believe that will happen. It's not on the plate right now, and it may not be for, at least a few months, maybe a year out. There's a lot that goes into something like that. But the reason I believe that it'll happen is because like the more we listen to each other respectfully versus just, I don't understand why they're thinking that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but trying to really listen to why they feel that way. Yeah. And have somewhat of an empathetic ear to where this is coming from. And when you do that, they will then listen in turn to you. And that's how things get done, which is why shit doesn't get done with the government, because they're just out for themselves. Sure. The Republicans are out for the Republicans and the Democrats are out for the Democrats. And they just want what they want. And then you have your moderates, and they will listen to both sides. Well, guess who gets things done more? It's that moderate middle. And so I find that we're in that really great spot with this company right now. And we have the strongest CEO that I believe we've ever, in a time that we're in right now, which I consider a time of war. We're at war because we have the NAR thing going on with the settlement. Our industry is at war. Therefore, we're at war. And we have competitors that we didn't have 5 years ago. And which I will say this, I am actually happy that we have competitors because it's forcing us to be better. It's forcing us to improve our model. And that excites me. So I was just on the phone with a person that I had sponsored that has been at Real, I think, for over a year now. Still good friends with this person, and we have a 30-minute chat. They jump in my calendar every once in a while and we chat. And I'm cheering for that person to win.
Sure.
But yeah, so I feel good about, like, we're going to see some changes, I believe, that are going to be announced in May. And I guess what I will say is this, and this was genius. This is Glenn. Like, it's not wise to just, you got to keep some of your powder dry. You can't just, you know what I mean? Like, if we can stagger these changes out, think about from a marketing and messaging standpoint. Now we have tons of messages. You know what I mean? Like, stagger it. Let's get one good win in place, which we're going to have a really great win that a lot of people are going to love a lot. And yes, it has to do with revenue share and FLQAs. So what the final version of that is, I'm not even 100% sure, but with the last update, everyone's going to love it. I was pushing for something a little different and more. Maybe we'll get there down the road. And that was the cool thing in talking to Glenn about it, is that none of this has ever been a no. It's like, okay, let's run some simulations and see what it looks like. And that poor Brandon, man, Brandon that works, it's kind of Glenn's right-hand man, mathematician. He's the wizard behind the curtain, working all these different numbers and simulations. It would make anybody's head spin, literally, on the amount of simulations he's running, because you can make a change and it can be great for this group and really bad for this group. There is a balance that has to be worked out with this. So I'm excited. You guys should be really super pumped about what's going to be coming out here in the next 30 to 60 days. I think less, probably the next 30 days. And we're just going to keep riding, and we're going to keep improving, and it's going to be a great year.
Everything you said there, I'll give some context around for people listening in to kind of dissect what you just walked through. So people, I think it's kind of our superpower, right? We challenge the way people think, give them a better framework. Obviously the inspiration, inspire, but really challenging them to think differently and think bigger. And so kind of what you walked through was really, decision-making theory, and the power of listening and understanding somebody's point of view, and understanding that sequence of how people get to that conclusion, right, really stems back to a belief, which is just thinking a certain way for a period of time forms a belief, but that is then driven by environment and circumstance. So when you understand where they came from and what formed that life and that experience and that thinking forms those beliefs, and then forms, the way they feel and the stance and the opinions and the things that they have and the things they have to say. But if you don't pause enough to listen to what they're really saying and understand where it's coming from and why it's coming from that way, then that's just where, that resistance is met. And so that's the first part. And then the second part that you talked about was what you shared with Glenn and running with the team. I don't know what does it look like in an actual business simulation? What does it look like in a model? Like, what does it really look like? Because we can have all of our ideas, and we can, get rich on a spreadsheet. We can even get richer on a calculator, but let's really look at it and see what it is. And then what's the ripple effect? Right? If we make this decision, what does that mean? Right? What's the secondary impact? What's the ripple effect? And I think that's where, we can all grow as better leaders in just that simple format. Where are you coming from? Let me listen. What are you really trying to say? How come you form that opinion? Where does that belief come from? If we're running this in a business situation, what is the math? Because that's all business is, just math. Let's get the emotion out of it. Logically, let's look at it. And then if we say yes or no to these adjustments, what does that mean? Let's look at the ripple effect into the future. As your example, it's great for these people and it sucks for these people. So what do we do to where we go through there? And, I think that framework, right, that sequence can change so many people's lives, and really just starting to listen to people a little bit more, and what are they trying to accomplish? And I think that's where we can all grow as better leaders, better CEOs of our business, better CEOs of our lives. Is just having some good frameworks to be able to think through things a little bit differently.
Love it, man. Doesn't look like I'm seeing any questions coming up in the comments here, but if you have any questions, feel free.
Hit us up.
I will share some news. There's 2 projects that I'm working on right now. One of them, we probably should have launched this a long time ago. But if you're looking for someone to help you with onboarding, we are going to expand our onboarding services to outside of just Michael, Jay, you, and myself. I know we've offered it to some of the people that we work with closely, like Dean Hillsman and things of that nature. But we believe, Tracy's extremely good at what she does. That's an understatement. The real question is, what was her capacity? And I actually have broken down, spent some time with her and Allison, and really, I think we've nailed the process of what we're going to be able to offer. We're just kind of sharpening the pencil on what the fees would be on it, and kind of trying to calculate our time, and then trying to use some technology to be able to compress that so that we can scale it more. It'll be affordable, but and I know that there's other people that are out there doing it, but we have a need for it, but she has capacity. So, that's a project that I'm working on. It'll be, Honey Badger onboarding, where there'll be a link. We'll put that link right on the honeybadgernationpage.com page, where if you have a recruit and you want assistance in us helping you get that recruit across the finish line, it will start with you filling that form out, which should probably take you less than 5-10 minutes. That will also trigger an appointment with your recruit and Tracy to make application together, which I'm really super stoked about that part. Now, some people make application on their own. I know a lot of people procrastinate, like, oh, they were supposed to make application Monday. And then the next thing you know, it's like 3 weeks down the line and they still haven't made application just because life's getting in their way. So there'll be a Calendly link that you'll schedule the first steps, which is getting that application filled out. It'll also give Tracy a really good opportunity to connect with that recruit so they know who they're dealing with and what she's there for and whatnot, which will then make the rest of that process. I think that could be the most valuable 30 minutes, even though you're filling out an online application, a form, if you will. That interaction with her at that moment will then make the rest of that process so much easier. So I'm really excited about that. And our goal is to have that finished. I mean, it'll be phase 1 will be done before I go to Key West next Wednesday. So that we should have a form up and running and a process to follow by then, which I'm excited about.
Love it.
The other thing we're going to be switching up is the Rapid Funnel app. We are going to be rebranding that as the One Big Funnel, or I'm sorry, One Big Fire, excuse me. And that will be my second project. So once I get back from Key West, we're going to be hammering that out with the Rapid Funnel team. It's funny because we went back and forth, if you remember, John, when we were launching this app, like, do we do One Big Fire or do we do Honey Badger Nation? Because the thought was like, well, what if other people outside the organization want to use the app for recruiting? Like, if it says Honey Badger Nation, then, and they're not part of that organization, then maybe they're not going to want to use it, or it's just not going to be applicable. So there's going to be a lot more added to it, probably some things taken out of it, the rebranding, of course, too. And we're going to get some of our big leaders. I've actually already showed it to some of our bigger leaders. And what's going to be really cool about that is this. The contests that you can have within that app are really super cool. So, the biggest problem is we haven't been able to get our biggest leaders behind it. And most of them didn't even know about it. When I showed it to Tina Call and Veronica, they were like,
what is this?
Holy crap, this is really awesome. I'm like, well, so that, whatever. So it's one of the tough things that we've struggled with, John, from the beginning, which is really just that outreach. How are we getting people to know about even this call or whatever? It's been the
biggest challenge.
Yeah. So I really, those are the two things that I'm sort of tasked with. And, I can tell you guys this, that app is still costing us about 3,000 to 4,000 a month. Like we make no money. It costs us that per month because we just weren't focused on really selling it. We just wanted,
people to use it.
We wanted people to use it and to catch on. And the people that are using it. We can see, we have the visibility into it. The ones that aren't just don't know about it. So I think this is going to be great with the rebranding. It'll give us a really good reason to get, loud about it, and maybe even, get Leo behind it too, and spread it out to where it's really, company agnostic, and, any organization should be able to use it. That's what we're kind of hoping for on this.
No, I love it. And, a couple other things I know, kind of talking about, projects, things we're working on. Obviously, we know you said you have some build events coming up. We do have KT back in Pittsburgh coming up June, and get to halftime is kind of the theme, because it is at the halfway point of the year. And in March we incorporated back in the hot seats, which you're familiar with, which was what NAEA Mastermind was built around. And then so bringing that element into what KT has been, from day one, really kind of a strategic workshop. So bringing the best of everything that I've ever been a part of. So KT has really become pretty amazing, pretty special. I know it's on your calendar. I do want to throw it out. It is invite only, guys. I'm inviting you guys that's listening right now. We are running 2 for 1 up until April the 30th. So if you want to come, take advantage of it, get it. We only do have a limited size in the room. So I'm not trying to tell you that for any other reason than if you are thinking about it or want to make it. If you have any questions, what KT is, you can go to Kitchen Table. If you want to go, you can go to seat@thekitchentable.com. Find out all the information. Hit me up. Hit Al up. Al's been. So it's really become a really amazing event as it's evolved, over the years. And obviously we've got your signature event, Rock and Rescue, and we're bringing Agent to CEO to the land in September. So I'm excited about that. Are we locked in on the date yet?
Yep. So I'm actually going. Today's Tuesday. Thursday, I'm going to be going downtown and visiting we're going to do a walkthrough at a venue because the hotel that we did it at last time is not available.
Okay.
So we found a place that's literally right next to Forward, where we do the concert, and it's called The Farm, which is actually a country music club, but above it, they have some really awesome space. It's actually they use it as like you guys have pop-up bars where it's like, they have like it'll be Christmas. The whole thing is like decorated in Christmas for the Christmas time. Then they'll completely redo the whole thing, and it'll be, what else have they done? St. Patrick? No, I don't know, whatever. But like they just do different themes, right? And so this thing's super versatile up there, and so we're really trying to lock that down. But you and I have to chat about time and some of the ideas that we have coming. I'm actually about to put a post up, a little teaser, because next Wednesday we are making the official announcement of our headliner for Rock and Rescue. You know who it is.
Yep.
So I'm actually going to be putting this post up, a little sneak peek of a little tease on who we have coming. And I right now we have 3 artists, and I'm actually about to add a fourth artist who has 2 or 3 number 1 hits on the country music charts. We've seen him before in Nashville live when Dustin did our little private party, and I ain't gonna give that one away either. But if we can land him, I mean, it's already going to be the best Rock and Rescue ever. This will sell out like last year's did, but this one will sell out faster, because of who's going to be performing. So I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah,
And
buddy. I'm excited
also,
for you. It's an awesome event for an incredible cause, and just lucky we're getting to piggyback agent to CEO with it. So little real estate training to go along with a great night out, great evening, great experience for a great cause.
yes, sir.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Juan, thank you, sir, man. Juan, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Juan.
I'll have to check that out. I tell you,
38 letters.
38 letters from JD Rockefeller. I'll have to check that out. So what Al's referring to is inside of Ben Horowitz, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. He talks about wartime and peacetime generals and wartime and peacetime leaders. And not everybody's built to be a wartime, leader. A lot of people can navigate peacetime, but not a lot can navigate wartime. And so it just takes a different type of mentality, different type of accountability, structure, thought process. It's not for everybody. And I would highly recommend, if you have not read it, to go through Robert Greene's 33 Strategies of War. It just talks about all the great leaders and the decisions and the things that they had to do to really, to navigate actual war. But it's, applicable to our lives, into our business, and, just tough decisions and tough actions. And it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Cool, brother. I appreciate you, and appreciate all of you guys.
Yep.
And
Clint, Juan, appreciate all your guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Get your butt back to kitchen table, June 20th and 21st. Love to have you back in the room.
Be there.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. See you.